was going to start with a wire falling out of me, or just slumping as if my batteries were dead. But first of all, I want to say thank you. I've been here a year now. A year ago, I came to the island from Singapore. I lived there for 13 years. And prior to that, I lived in London. And prior to that, I grew up in Somerset, a little village with 2,000 people. So 1972, we didn't have internet then. But thank you to the island for welcoming me. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here for the last year. And it was the 10th of November I was here a year ago. Thanks to Lisa Karen. She introduced me to some people, and I met Rebecca at the chamber. And very quickly, as a retired individual, I don't have any operational work. I got to meet a lot of people, and I was, welcomed by the community. And so one of the main themes in this is the human community. And if I can just say that one thing to you, the community is the key part to my two presentations today, to keep doing what you're doing. And last week, I had the great pleasure of being at this spectacular dinner, the Excellence Awards. And my wife, unfortunately, wasn't well. She couldn't make it, but I couldn't explain to her the emotion at that event, how you all celebrate individuals and the community. And I'm going to really keep stressing that point. I'm going to get slightly technical throughout these slides. I've been in the industry since 1998, and in that time, the companies that I've been involved in have grown from sort of zero revenues to about $45 billion, which is an astounding number. I grew up in a little village in England, I might mention that. So I'm going to really ask some questions in this vision slide, but I also want to thank the Chief Minister, not just the Chief Minister, but Minister Johnson earlier for mentioning AI as well and its importance. So the first question I've got for you is, who's using ChatGPT? Wow. When was ChatGPT launched? Yeah, what date? 29th of November, 19 days after this event 1 year ago. No wonder Lyle didn't have it on his slides a year ago. How the hell was he knew that was going to happen? How much revenue have ChatGPT generated in 1 year? Anybody? $1 billion of revenue in a year. Just stop for a second and just acknowledge that. Digital Isle, 10th of November, 29th of November, 1 year later, $1 billion. Sam Altman's in Microsoft, he's in OpenAI. What the hell's going on, honestly? Let's not discuss the Sam Altman situation, but it's an extraordinary event. And AI was created in 1956, the term. It's been around a long time. This is not a new thing. This has happened. So what is the island's position on AI? This was the AI Safety Summit that Rishi Sunak called. So we need to get some safety around this. I'm not going to discuss this too much. This requires a collaboration, a community, an Isle of Man community to work out what we do around safety. We need to take this seriously. I believe nothing in our foreseeable future will be more transformative for our economy, our society, and our lives than this technology. I love logic as a technologist. So I sat down and tried to work out $10 billion worth of GDP by 2032. 10% growth every year for the next 10 years. Every economist on the planet, every venture capitalist is coming to the Isle of Man because you're going to grow by 10% every year. Fantastic. Let's go. Let's make it happen. We ready? So what does AI mean to this? And these three interactions are the end of my slides as well. So you're going to see them again. The economy, environment, and humans working together in something you have already. I'm not going to mention it yet. This is the vision that we're going to come to. You already have the gold medal. You've already won the prize. You are already global winners. I've been here a year. I love learning. I've got an insatiable appetite for learning, sometimes too much. And I've been learning about the island in a year, whether it's walking the dog on Douglas Bay or whether it's board meetings with digital, whether it's meeting industry, whether it's talking to people in the gym, in Prime Performance. But there is this question, what could AI do to this? And some of these questions that were asked earlier are very important. And I'm, as a non-working person, I'm very happy to come to every single one of your offices and talk to you about it. Not talk to you about it, listen to your suggestions of how we do this. How do we have a positive impact on this? So, I mentioned Prime Performance. What a wonderful gym. When I came here a year ago, you had Eagle Labs, you had Fatboy Slim playing at the Nunnery, and I said, this is the place I want to be. It's got a vibrant startup community, Fatboy Slim's playing at the Nunnery, Claire, my wife, my 3 kids, let's go. Let's live on the Isle of Man. And then this chap here, I'm going to let you play this. It's 1 minute and 25 seconds. This is Ashton. I met him at the gym. He's 17 years old. He wrote for the World Economic Forum a paper on the impact of AI on jobs. He's 17 years old. I said, Ashton, what do you think? So if we could play this, just play.
Hi, my name's Ashton and I'm 17. And I'm just going to speak a little bit about artificial intelligence and give you some of my views and opinions on the topic. So with the ever-growing presence of artificial intelligence, I can say for certain that you can't just ignore the thing. So some people that I've spoken to about it, they've been afraid of it and they try and distance themselves from it. But personally, I think more has to be done on the island to work with artificial intelligence by using it as a multi-purpose tool to sort of solve problems. Now, I'm in my last year of sixth form, right? So I study maths and economics. So from an economist's point of view, artificial intelligence could pave a path for untapped economic growth through the innovation and optimization that it can provide. And I believe that artificial intelligence could help the island's economy grow massively. And I hope that with the correct funding, we could become a leader and at the forefront of this evolving technology. And I'm really passionate about this topic. And I feel its widespread implementation could lead to huge improvements throughout many sectors of the economy. For example, education. Currently, ChatGPT is banned on school Wi-Fi for fear of misuse. However, this doesn't take into account note-taking, revising. It can condense notes for students, and this isn't taken into account. So all in all, we want the island to contribute and accept the technology and just make it a better place for all. Thanks.
I want to thank him. I know he's not here, but just raw energy, raw intelligence. He's probably going to go to Cambridge or Oxford. He works out in the gym that I go to. That's how I met him. It was just meeting people in the community. And he wrote a paper about this. He spent time researching it. So what I want to say is that it's happened. That's the reason why I showed you this video. It's happened. You can't slow it down. You can't take away the internet. You can't take away artificial intelligence. You can't take away generative AI, which is only since 2017, not since 1956. It's happened. And how do we encourage him to come back to the island after he's been to university? Or how do we encourage him to stay on the island? That's the question. For me, at least, anyway. I hope it's one that you all share with me. So the dark side. So we know the answers already. I look to you as industry in the audience. You already know the answers. 32, this is a PwC report that was commissioned in collaboration with the government in 2020, not last week. 32.5% jobs at risk. Most disrupted sector, 16,000 jobs in financial services. And if you don't do anything, it's going to cost you 6 times more if you don't do something now. KPMG report that Lyle mentioned earlier, how I actually got involved with digital because of my AI background and data background. Lyle asked me to come in as an industry expert to the board and just got to give up an opinion. And KPMG were absolutely spot on in their 3 things. High quality data infrastructure. We've got 6 cables coming into the, incredible. You've got infrastructure. I lived in Singapore for 13 years. You've got it. You've done a really good job. You are in a good position infrastructure-wise. Legislation, regulation, e-gaming. You can do that, can't you? You can create legislation, fantastic. You're in a good spot. A workforce with the right technical skills. So, a bit about myself very quickly. In 1998, I joined this little company called Business Objects. They were the first VC-backed software company in the whole of Europe. They sold for $6.4 billion in 2007, the biggest software sale of software company anywhere on the planet. I grew up in Somerset. I never knew what technology was when I was a kid. And I managed to land myself in this wonderful world. All the way through to Databricks. Databricks, have anybody heard of Databricks? They've got a $43 billion market capitalization at the moment. They are going to IPO in the next year, and I can't suggest any more than look at it. There's some trends across these, and I won't bore you with my journey, but I've worked for every single one of these companies. I was the CEO and founder of some of them, and Burst, as an example, started out in Asia. I grew their business. I brought thousands of jobs to Singapore, thousands, through data and AI. And the EDB is the equivalent of enterprise. And they worked with industry exactly as they're doing, but it's got to come from industry. It doesn't come from the Department of Enterprise or EDB in the Singapore sense. I work very closely with them to make sure we've got the right skills and people. Throughout that journey, three significant trends that I saw. Number one, data is growing. Duh, no brainer. Everyone knows that. But it's a really interesting point because it really has grown with our digital footprint. Number two, I'm going to use access as my second point. The accessibility of technology to people has become a lot easier. Everyone's got one of these? Okay. Amazing compute power and access to internet, and it's all in our pockets now. So I know this is a bit of almost cliche to say, but access is the lower the barrier of access, the more it gets used. And the most important thing in my experience of technology is the cost of compute. I'm going to ask, why would you build a data warehouse today when compute is free? It's a really controversial question. But the reason why people build data warehouses and data analytics and preordain the structure of them is to reduce the cost of compute, because computation costs money. And we all know that computation is going down, so therefore you don't need to pre-think your infrastructure so much. That's the theory, and it's playing out. Look at the cloud vendors. That's what they've been playing out a long time now. So those three big trends really culminated in this moment. In the first week of ChatGPT, 2 million users. It took Netflix 18 months to get 2 million users. They did it in a week. Why? Lower the access. I can talk to it. Hello, how are you? What should I do about my thing? I played golf up at King's and I got the groundsman interested in ChatGPT just by saying to him, "Hey, Andy," and he said, "Hey, Jason, what do you do?" I said, "I'm retired. I'm going to do that." I did a bit of AI stuff in the background. He said, "Have you tried ChatGPT?" And he said, No, what's that, Jason?" I said, "Well, yeah, you've got a laptop there. Go on." 3 hours later, I took a little bit of time getting around the course that day. 3 hours later, I came back. Andy's still there. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I built a business plan for the golf course up at King's. This is amazing." So the access is so low, my mum can use it. And I don't mean to be rude about my mum, but she's not a technologist. So access down, because compute is still costing them $700,000 a day of compute, a bit of money. That's why they needed that $10 billion from Microsoft. But the cost of compute is coming down. When we talk about future technologies, quantum computing is going to just disappear. The cost of compute is going to keep going down. So the most important thing is your data. And we've got some really interesting things on the island. Kurt's going to talk about it later. It sounds very technical. The foundation model is really interesting. I think it plays a massively important part of our vision. We have a distinctive role there to play globally with the data. So rather than me do a presentation, I did a presentation for Kurt the other day, and rather than do the presentation, I got ChatGPT to create it for me, and I went and played golf at King's. But anyway, I got ChatGPT to ask this question: what would the top 3 recommendations for positive impact of AI on the Isle of Man be? And it told me. You can read those. You can do the same search if you want, and it will tell you roughly the same thing. So the great thing about this corpus of data that's out there is it gives you certain answers that you hadn't thought about. It gives you all of them, gives you more than you need, actually. And I've used ChatGPT a few times or other engines. The one that I used for Kurt's presentation was called the Maker Slide. And if anybody's looking for an AI, there's a website called There's an AI for that. It's called There's an AI for that. That's this. So let's just go there and have a look. But strategic investment in AI and education and workforce training, that's not Lyle's job. But coming to the island a year ago, I saw that there was this great kind of community that was building up around the startup. It actually is Lyle's problem, or as the CEO of Digital, the community needs to be educated. Pipeline is critical. Workforce pipeline, and I'm going to come to how we came to some examples of where we can solve this and our vision in a moment, because we went to Singapore and we looked at what they did, because they had the same workforce problem and they solved it. So July, the board meeting invited me along and said, Jason, what do you think? Should we do? And there was some really interesting presentations from Greg Ellison from AI Strategy Ninja about what we should be doing around AI. And I sat there and I thought, it's been done before. Someone's done it. What do you mean someone's? Yeah, Singapore, they've done it already. And I was thinking, there's the voice in my head, sorry, just to let you play a little bit there. But I thought, it's been done before. And then Gary from Manx said, Jason, what do you think? And I said, well, it's been done before. Singapore have done it. And he said, well, why don't we go there? So really quickly, the fast follower approach of the Isle of Man, which I love this term. Some people say it's a negative term. I think it's a great term. Follow fast. So we went to Singapore in October, and it was a Jason Bissell style. I went back into work mode. We met 50 people in 4 days. And we met some of the biggest companies and leaders in Singapore. We met with Temasek. Temasek have $397 billion under their management. They've invested billions in AI. We met with the Singapore government who are looking at hydrogen fusion. We looked at Antler, who have got $1 billion under assets in terms of a startup. They put hundreds of people through a process. We met with 50. I won't go into all of them because it'll take me another hour just to talk about what we did. We've done a lot of research on this. But look where Singapore is. Number 3 in the world on AI. We have an opportunity to collaborate with Singapore. They've said yes, they want to work with us and teach us what they did. In 2017, Singapore realized they had a workforce problem. We need people to come to the island and we need to reskill our current workforce. And they invested heavily in this thing called AI Singapore. And we spent a day and a half with AI Singapore in Singapore learning what they did, how they did it from 2017 to create thousands of jobs. At that time, they're called data scientists. Now they're called prompt engineers. So interestingly, the barrier of entry from when they did it in 2017, the access is much lower. You don't need months to build an AI now. You need weeks. And that happened on the 29th of November, 2022. 23rd, right? November 2023. So we've got this massive opportunity and I can't implore enough to you as an audience. You're not an audience, you're a team. We're one team. How do we do this? So can we fast follow? Bit of a slide on AI Singapore. Go and look it up. It's a government organization that's run by National University of Singapore. In terms of our credibility by rubbing shoulders with them, the number 2 NLP engineer or PhD in terms of research papers in the world is at that university, National University of Singapore. They've got a really incredible experience since 2017 of building out AI projects. But what we're not proposing from a digital perspective is just training. It's about industry productivity and industry jobs, because that's the role of the Department of Enterprise digital team. But I wanted to share with you one person quickly. I've got 5 minutes left up here. I'm going to we're getting to the vision now. Kevin's in his 60s. He was in sales and marketing his entire life. He went to AI Singapore, retrained as an AI engineer in his 60s. This is not just for the guy at the front who's 17 years old. This is for everyone. Anyone can reskill. Everyone can reskill. Who's heard of Microsoft Copilot? Everyone's using it, right? A year later, you're not talking about it. This has happened. So how do we reskill? How do we raise awareness? And I'll be touching in more detail about the approach to this after coffee. So first of all, we need a mission. And thanks to Lyle, he's already the mission, not the vision, the mission. So globally, according to PwC and KPMG, different reports, between 14, the conservative level, and 21% impact on global domestic product globally. So trillions of dollars is going to be generated from AI. Who wants a piece of it? Come on, put your hands up. Who wants a piece of it, right? Yes, I want a piece of it. So that's the global number. What should our number be? You already know because the spoiler alert was put up earlier. 10%. When I put this up to the board before this presentation, I said, why are we going as low? That's for you to decide. Should it be 10? Should it be 20? Do we have something unique on the island? And I've spotted something and you already know it. So I'm not going to tell you anything new today. That little thing on the right-hand side there, was created by ChatGPT. And I think it purposely misspells things. So you have to go and get an agency to correct it every time I try and get it to create an image for me. But that was give me the AI Biosphere Nation gold medal, because you are a world-leading AI biosphere nation. You are a biosphere nation. You're the only single biosphere nation. You are the AI biosphere nation. Do you believe that? You are. You have to make it happen. When we tested this out in Singapore, this chap on the left-hand side, it's a shame Phil's not here to sort of relay this story in a bit in a much tighter way. Yinglan Tan created the government wealth fund for startups in Singapore. He's deep government. I can validate. The Prime Minister's son used to work for me when I was in Singapore. Yinglan is a player. Let's just say that. When we were in the meeting, Phil, Lyle and I with Yinglan talking about what have you done, what AI investments are you making, what kind of economy are you creating. He's got $1 billion under management, created his own venture fund, and we chucked across the term AI Biosphere Nation. And I wish Phil could... Phil, what did he say?
He said, create a small fund. How about 50 million?
So he said, I can create a small fund. How about $50 million? Just over the table. Now, it's a light discussion. This is not a commitment. But the AI Biosphere Nation got the attention of a VC to that point that he just put a bag of cash in the middle of the table, which was, for me, very interesting. What is it? Well, the 14% or the $15.7 trillion of additional GDP with biosphere and sustainability and climate crisis, if you like, what BCG are suggesting is that there is $1 trillion to $3 trillion of revenue to be generated from sustainability. There are products to be created. That's interesting. When you go back to the data side of it, where's the data that's going to create those products? You're a single nation, the only single nation AI biosphere, I'm already doing it, but a single biosphere nation. So you have the opportunity to use that data in the foundation model to be able to create new products. You're the only country in the world. Congratulations, you've won the prize. Wow, that's really powerful. And I just remember a year living here, I can tell you it's so powerful. So, world-leading AI biosphere nation. World-leading AI biosphere is what we did when we were in Singapore. They loved it. And they want to collaborate with us, and they want to build it. What is it? If you could work it out for me and let me know after the break, that'd be perfect, because then I don't need to do my presentation. But it's 4 things as far as I'm concerned, and it spells CAPE. So apologies, I got kicked out of the marketing department at this point. Community, awareness, productivity, and environment. With these 3 things as principles, as values to drive. The problem with ChatGPT, very simply, where's the biggest source of data ChatGPT uses to answer your questions? Internet. Where in the internet? Reddit. Has anybody gone onto Reddit and looked at what Reddit says? So it's biased towards Reddit and the economy. How about we create a large language model that's biased towards environment and we lead that globally? Is that interesting? As a technologist, I find that fascinating. So I'm up on time. We've got a break now. We didn't get any sliders in, thank Lord for that. I think you'll probably have some tough questions for me, but I'm open to them. I'm happy to discuss over coffee. But I'm going to come back after break and I'm going to give you an approach, a practical year one approach, 30, 60, 90. I work agile, so I'm thinking sprints, 4-week sprints. I'm going to give you the approach after the break, and thank you very much again for welcoming me.